Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. Welcome back. Today we're here talking about motivation with adults, with adult learning. And then right now we're going to talk to our expert guest about all the common misconceptions about adult learning. You know, that finger pointing, and we really should be grabbing the mirror saying, oh, maybe I'm part of the problem because I have this misconception. So with that said, welcome back, Dr. Carrie Graham.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you so much for having me. And I am really excited to talk about these misconceptions. Let's jump in.
Let's jump in. You tell us, you're the expert. What are the common misconceptions?
Yeah. So the first one, and it's been heavily researched, it's a foundation in adult learning, is you can teach adults the same way you can teach children. They have the same needs. That is not true. If you think about your own life, we all have rich life experiences, and we want to be able to bring those life experiences to our learning, to the learning table, as I refer to it. And so, no, standing in front of a group of adults, working employees, and just providing them information without any meaningful interaction and helping them understand how to use it, how to apply it, why it matters, what's the value of it. That's a huge mistake. That's a huge mistake.
Contrary to the belief that learning becomes more challenging after age 25 years old, a survey discovered that 92% of adults actively pursue courses to enhance or sustain their current knowledge and skills. And while the common assumption might be that individuals returning to school are mostly in their early 20s, data from the National Student Clearinghouse reveals a different reality. Surprisingly, over one-third of college students embark on their academic journey after the age of 25, with one-fifth starting their studies after reaching the age of 30. So when we think about this and the misconceptions in the workplace and just all the way around in regards to adult learning, I think there might be more hope than we realize. Dr. Carrie, your thoughts?
Well, JC, I really appreciate you throwing out that statistic, that number 25, because research shows, and from a psychological perspective, from a learning perspective, that development of the executive system of the brain, so it's where we do that critical thinking, it doesn't fully develop until an individual is in their mid to late 20s. That's why traditional college students, that early 20s, still make poor decisions. So, but and that happens. And so what's happening there is our mental models, the way we view the world, our opinions, our objections are all being formulated, as well as decision-making, problem solving. Those are all being formulated later in the 20s. And it simply gets refined as we continue to age. So if we not think about it in terms of entering a formal higher education, but the workforce, learning is happening. Learning happens during onboarding. An individual has to learn the culture of that organization. That is huge, the politics of it. Then once they are getting onboarded in that regard, they have to learn the job. So it's, what are my responsibilities? Who do I report to? Those types of things. And then it becomes a skill, a learning about a particular skill that needs to be employed. And for some people, it may be using their hands in that skill. And for others, it is actually, what are my leadership skills? Do I really understand conflict resolution? Am I an empathetic leader? Those are all elements that are things that need to be developed in the workplace. They don't just happen. They don't just occur. And so if those are skills and traits that are important to businesses really need to understand how to create a training and support people in their learning of those skills. And that's another misconception, is adults will just bring those skills automatically to the workplace. And you cannot make that assumption. You cannot make that assumption.
You bring up a fantastic point about the culture and also some of these terminologies as well. For some employees, they may be walking into a situation knowing these things, feeling these things, and realizing that they've had these thoughts about, let it be a certain executive mindset or whatever it may be, for a good portion of their life, but it might not be until you introduce them to the terms that they actually come into the realization. How critical is it then at that point when you're bringing someone into the light, so to speak, and it's being done by your hand in the workplace? They almost hold you in higher regard at that point.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is another example of that is when we think about transferring knowledge. Right. To your point, we have, and we'll just talk about managers and leaders who are at one organization. They understand the job and they are using their skills in that environment. Right. When they come into a new organization or someone is promoted and they're in a new role, the information that they have doesn't just go away. The problem is they may not understand and know how to apply what they know, transfer what they know to the new setting. And that's where businesses, organizations, HR individuals can really step in and support these employees to acknowledge, yes, you have those skills, but this is how you can capitalize on those skills in this environment.
Oh, that brings me to a great topic that we're going to be covering in our next episode. Reminder for everyone that's listening, this is a 5-part series, and we're talking about keeping employees motivated to learn and remain engaged. Next up, we're going to cover talking about customized learning journeys, which is where I believe you were just kind of headed. So check back in shortly. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.